You are sitting here in my back office, and I want to share a cup of Joe with you. What do you say about that? Cup of Joe is a little show. It's a fellowship. It's a think tank. It's a human soup. It's a lot of things. But I think what it is mostly is the energy of some good people that believe in a lot of similar or the same ideas and ideals, and that we have a set of I'd say priorities would be a good way to put it. Values is a good way to put it, maybe, but priorities I think is important. And one of those priorities that we all share is that we should be free to do with what we see fit with our bodies, with our own property, with our space, with our minds, with our voices, as long as it doesn't hurt anybody else. And we acknowledge most people that are informed, at least to a rudimentary level, would agree that our U.S. forefathers were pretty accurate when they declared that we have a inherent, inalienable right bestowed upon us by our Creator to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Simple concept. It seems to make sense. I don't know anybody who would disagree with that statement. And yet, most laws that are passed by our lawmakers, and there are hundreds of them, in some way restrict those rights. And in their inherent wisdom, we allowed Richard Nixon to pass the Controlled Substances Act. And moreover, we allowed him to include cannabis / marijuana into the Schedule 1 portion of the Controlled Substances Act. And we've talked about that for a long time. We'll probably not talk much about that specific thing today because I'm assuming we'll call this a 201 class. Sometimes we do a 101 class. Sometimes we do a remedial class. But today we're going to do a 201 class. It's the end of the year. We've got one more show left in this year. And I'm going to assume everybody who's here today is here because they know what's going on. We'll start from a stipulation, as they say in court. All parties will stipulate that the listeners today will have a general understanding of their inalienable rights. But problem is, lawmakers, legislators, senators, congressmen, assemblymen, city council members, you name it, people that have influence on our day-to-day operations, they do things that we don't agree with. And what do? Nothing. We let them. And once in a while, we rise up and we yell and scream a bit. And when we do that well enough and loud enough and long enough, what happens? Oh, I don't know. Arab Spring, March on Washington, civil rights. Things can happen.
Burn down France.
When we do it right. But when we do it wrong, it gets violent and law enforcement or the legal system fights back and people get hurt and die. And then it takes even more willpower. It takes more grit. It takes more willingness to really make a change. True activism is that it's action, willing to act. How many of us are willing to act? Well, I know some for sure. We're going to be talking about some of those that are willing to act. So anyways, this show is about that. It's about creating a world where no one has to worry about going to jail for a plant anymore. I have a friend by the name of Aaron Sandusky, and because of the most recent acts that have happened, and some of the things he did, he's got his sentence reduced by, I think, 1 year and 7 months. He's scheduled now to get out in May of 2020. He's got 1 year and 6 months left to go. Are you kidding me? He's in there for pot, people. And frankly, who cares how much? I have invited people to share with me their thoughts on why cannabis needs to be regulated and taxed and restricted and limited. And I have this to say to any of you. You show me one bit of harm that having too many plants has ever. You show me a harm that comes from shipping cannabis from cross state lines, cross country lines, anywhere. Growing it, using it, making it. Look, you can cause harm by being stupid any way you want. If you want to go and blast butane in a closed room and then smoke a cigarette and blow your damn self up, I'm sorry, you're just a fool. If you want to get a turkey fryer in your back laundry room and drop a frozen turkey in it and blow your house up, you're a fool. So that doesn't have anything to do with this plant. So I have had an open invitation for, I don't know, this show's been running now for, in some incarnation or another, almost 5 years. And I have had an open invitation for the whole time for anybody to tell me, why does this plant need to be regulated? And I'll give you all the time you want to plead your case. Not one. I had one scheduled one time and he didn't make it. We're still trying to schedule him, but he hasn't made it. I've had people try to, explain the reality of politics and all that bullshit, because that's what the world of politics is. But we're people. And if you look through history, every single major change has been done by the leadership of a few and the willingness of many, and that's all. Laws really never had much to do with it. Laws are an effect of the change that a few people and a bunch of willing can accomplish. And again, I welcome anybody to debate or argue this point. But nobody has. If you want to, give me a call. 646-929-2495. And tell our amazing screener, Non-Compliant Mary, that I asked you to call in. And she'll let you in. We can talk. This year, the Human Solution is growing in the most remarkable way. We've grown bigger in membership. We've grown bigger in commitment. We have more monthly memberships than we've ever had at any given time. And what that says is that every single month, our members agree to still be members and not just, paid your 10 or 15 bucks and forget about us for a year. Yeah, you get a card for that. But every month, $4.20, $6.30, whatever the commitment was, it's a regular affirmation that says, yes, I still want to help end prohibition. Yes, I still want to be part of the solution. Yes, I'm willing to do something about it. And yes, I matter. I talk a lot about the A team and being a part of the A team, and I get all the people who are sick and sad and tired, and they say, but I do this and it counts. Yes, of course, it all counts. Of course it does. It's not the point. But all of the little things stuck in a room are not going to make the change I need to make today. And so, as much as I do appreciate all the little things, and I welcome even more people to do the little things, and hell, if we had enough people doing the little things, it would push it over. But I need to get this thing pushed over. I need to live in a world where we don't have to worry about getting locked up for a plan anymore. I am being very clear about my intention, about what is the only thing I'm willing to accept. I'm not willing to accept, well, you can have it if you have $4 million in the bank and you go through these hoops and that hoops and you grow it this way and you account for it that way and you spend all this money on this testing and that testing and you do this and that and move it this way. I don't give a fuck about that. What I do care about is that the people that need this plant have access to it. And the people that are able to grow it and make things with it have the ability to do that without fearing the fate that Aaron Sandusky currently has, without ending up like Craig Cecil, without being in a situation where you don't have freedom anymore because somehow you are connected to this plant. I'm not okay with that. The Human Solution is a 501c3 nonprofit organization registered with the federal government in good standing today. We have been this way for about 3 years, almost 4 years now. Anybody who supports this organization financially gets a tax write-off for their efforts. Donations of any kind. 100% of these donations go to their intended target. Not one member of the Human Solution has ever or will ever, as far as I know, made a dime for this organization. We're all volunteers. We donate our time, our talent, our treasure, and we're here to help each other. Our mission is to educate and support citizens and victims of the drug war, and we do that in courtrooms. We do that wherever need be. We're doing it right now. We're supporting the people that need the support, and we're educating those that need that. And hopefully we'll educate influencers such a way that they'll start influencing. We're not a lobby organization, as so many organizations are. How's that working out, folks? That's all I got to say. Yeah, we've come so far. Fuck you. Really? How far have we come? There's still people locked up. When is that going to not be okay? I'm sorry, been a little bit rough today, but I'm not really sorry. It's the way I feel. It's almost Christmas time. 6 years ago today, I was locked up, not knowing if I was going to get out. Been there for a few months, couple of months. Today's my dad's birthday. My dad's dead. I believe cannabis could have helped him. He was a doctor. He couldn't use cannabis because he was afraid of losing his license. What do you think about that? I got a few thoughts. The Human Solution International is working really hard right now at this moment to bring people together in two different ways. One, we're meeting in a particular way in a particular place. And if you're interested in finding out, send me an email and I'll tell you how. We're working on some specific plans. We're coordinating, we're messaging, we're putting things together in such a way that we will and we are making a real change that ultimately will lead to the end of prohibition. That's the one thing we're doing. The second thing we're doing, as we've done since we were born as an organization, is we're solidifying relationships with other groups and organizations and getting commitment of pledge to work together in a specific way. We're going to be honoring these commitments. I've tried to make coalitions, put several of them together over the years, and it doesn't seem to be a force of nature that wants to remain intact without a lot of effort from a couple of people. So rather than that, I've decided to let's forge one-on-one relationships. And so I put this out to you. If you are a member of a group that in any way cares about civil rights or wants to help us end prohibition and is willing to commit to work together as groups, and we'll come up with a project or include you in a project we're already working on, or include us in a project you're already working on. But let's make it formal. Let's put it up there on our website, your website, talk about it. Unity in the community. A long time ago, we did a series of fundraisers called the Freedom Fighters Fundraisers, raising money for legal defense for my case and others. One of the themes of one of those events was unity in the community. And at the time, almost 10 years ago, we had, I don't know, a dozen groups or so that pledged to work together. Anybody who's ever spent any time in this so-called movement can only imagine what has happened in the last 10 years. Not so many of those same relationships sit the way they did. But why? No good reason. Why can't they reunite? Why can't they recommit? No good reason. So I'm looking for anybody who's listening to this show, is part of this organization or part of another organization, come aboard. Let's decide how we can work together, because what we've been doing hasn't worked. And many people believe it's gotten us closer, and yeah, it has, but why is that okay? What's our end game, folks? What is the end game? Oh, it's going to happen. Congress is going to deschedule. Okay. When's the last time you counted on Congress and Congress showed up? Okay. I can't remember a time when I relied on Congress to do what I wanted them to do. I can't ever remember a time when I've relied on my congressman to do what I wanted him to do, ever. I don't know what would make today any different, but I know what makes me different, and I know what makes a few people around me different, and that is that commitment to doing what it takes to accomplish the change that we want to see. You know, I think it was Gandhi said, be the change you want to see in the world. Well, how many of us are doing that? How many of us are putting an effort in enough to make a difference? I hang out with a group that likes to do that. I encourage more. We're making it easier and easier with some very specific tasks and tools and things that you can do to be part of this mission. And frankly, folks, we're making history. I'm not, as much as I rail on the accomplishments that we've made, we've come a long way. The risks that we take today are in many ways much less than the risks that we took in years past. And personally speaking, I could say that with absolute truth. So that's the first thing we're doing. We're also looking for businesses, organizations to support us, support this. If you're not willing to get out there in the trenches and work, hey, show some support to the people that will. No admin fees, folks. We don't charge you a nickel. Every nickel that you submit to us goes to educational materials, this website, the operations day-to-day that we do. That's it.
No salaries.
No salaries, no stipends, no nickels going to the volunteers. We have a company in New York, a man by the name of Chris Birdsall. He has pledged to donate a portion of these Italian ices that he makes or sells. I don't know if he makes them, but he sells them. And he's lived up to his word. Last month, he made a donation, and we're giving him a shout for that. Finally, a company that in some way benefits from this plant is actually doing something to help this organization who's trying to free this plant. We got a second company, and there's a company called the Chocolate Dragon. And this is a company that makes boutique chocolates and truffles and all that kind of stuff. They're foo-foo, vegan and gluten-free and peanut-free and all the free stuff that people want.
Yeah.
And they're infused with CBD. And the owner of this company, Bo Levine, has committed to donating 20% of all the purchases of these particular chocolates to the Human Solution.
Yay, Bo!
And so if you're interested in learning more about those, give me a holler. Reach me on the website, thsintl.org, and just put, I want to learn more about the chocolates. We'll get you hooked up. We also, I believe, and this isn't anything a company did to help us, but a company that is working with us, we have or will have soon the opportunity to purchase coffee. And I will be the first one to purchase it, and I will be drinking that coffee on hopefully a soon cup of joe. But same thing happens. I think we sell you a bag of coffee, and $5 of that bag gets donated to the Human Solution. So these are some recent events that have happened. We're working on laying out some of these organizations and individuals that are not specifically connected with the Human Solution, and our pledge to work together in our specific ways that we're working together. So that's what's going on right now. The next thing that's going on is I have a proposition. So I think about this, and I think about it a lot. I think about it in a lot of different ways, and I try to be creative, and I try to be effective, and I try to be valuable with my thoughts and my actions. And I look at the problem, which is that we're still in a world with prohibition, and people can still get locked up for pot, even in the legal states. If I got one plant too many, I don't have a piece of paper in order, I don't have a license intact, I didn't do this, that, or the other thing, I'm still in violation. I'm a criminal, and I will be prosecuted just like anybody else. So what's our plan? So I came up with this idea, and I want to share it with y'all, and I wish it, and this will be an ongoing activity, and until we accomplish our mission to actually end prohibition, not just tax and regulate it. Imagine you were in an elevator going up or down, whichever way you were going. Maybe you were in the Great Glass Elevator and you were flying through space. Or maybe you were going sideways. Doesn't matter. You're in an elevator all by yourself. The elevator stops, doors open, and a man gets inside. Or maybe it's a woman. And you look and you recognize this person as a person of influence. This is a person who has the ability to make a real and significant change by their very presence. Mm-hmm. And you're all alone with them, and you have maybe a minute to explain to them what needs to be done and how they can do it. And I'm going to give you an advantage. You're wearing a solidarity ribbon. Mm-hmm. So you got this little green ribbon with the little red cross on it that stands out on every outfit. Mm-hmm. And they look to you and they say, what's the ribbon about?
Yay.
Now the time is ticking. You now have until they lose interest to explain to them what this ribbon is, what they can do, what the problem is, what they can do to fix it, and how it's going to get to an end. What are you going to tell them? I want to hear. And let's say that you got some great ideas, because I hear a lot of great ideas about a lot of things. But maybe you just have a talking point that you want to add to it. Well, we got some amazing people on our team, and we're going to take all those talking points and we're going to compile them into the ultimate elevator pitch.
Woo!
And in the process of doing that, hopefully we'll think about these things and we'll come up with ways in our day-to-day operations of addressing these things. I yesterday was training some reps, and they were over at my house, and they saw my Human Solution brochures. In fact, we should have one of those I can show. We just got a new batch printed, and they're available. I'll give them to you. Don't have to buy them. That's what the money that people donate for, so I can give you shit.
Exactly.
Anyways,
big old box of it.
That all being said, we started talking. I talked to them about the organization. I talked to them about this show. I talked to them about the prisoners we support. I talked to them about defendants all over the world that we deal with, support, and try to support anyways. And then we talked about jury nullification as one of the things, that we offer. We teach you about that. We teach you about your power. And I did a monologue that explained to them what this was all about.
You have a prepaid
and
call. You will not be charged for this call.
It went well. We're going to get some new members out of it. But we got Craig Cecil joining us.
This call is being recorded and is subject to monitoring. Hang up to decline the call or to...
Craig Cecil, how are you doing today?
Hello, Joe. Well, it's a little chilly, but pretty nice here in Terre Haute, Indiana.
Well, I apologize for last week. I had a sort of an impromptu trip, and I was in an airplane rather than doing the show last week, and I didn't get a chance to let everybody know till the last minute. So I apologize for being unavailable.
Well, that happens. You have a life like everyone else, I hope.
I have a life that's unlike most people's, I can assure you. But
I would imagine. But at least you're living it.
I am living in it, that's for sure. So I understand that there's some good news that is coming out of this this new legislation that looks like it is actually Mike going to fly through at the last second.
Well, as you're probably aware, the Senate passed yesterday. They passed what is known as the First Step Act.
Right.
And the House had passed a version of it a few months ago that was fairly small. Now the Senate took that and added a whole bunch of things, but the reaction amongst the inmates who are now reading it is most of them are pretty angry because it really doesn't help us here in the prison. What it does do is there's 4 different mandatory minimums for federal drug charges. There's a 5-year mandatory minimum, a 10-year, a 20-year for a repeat offender, or a minimum life sentence for somebody with 2 drug priors. They lowered 2 of them. They lowered the life sentence guideline. Instead of being to be during life, a mandatory minimum life sentence, they're lowering that to a minimum 25 years to life. So a sentencing judge would pick somewhere in that range. And as to the repeat offender with a 20-year mandatory minimum, they've reduced that to 15 years to life. So those are the 2 biggest changes that are in there. Now they've made for what they call earned credits. They're supposed to put some additional schooling within the BOP, and inmates would be able to take that schooling and accrue earned credits. Now with those earned credits, they can buy time at the halfway house. Like the last 6 or 8 months of an inmate sentence, they typically serve it at a halfway house so they can kind of reintegrate themselves back in the society. It's like a work release center. But now they can, generally send federal prisoners to those. And what they're going to essentially do in this program is make federal prisoners instead earn that time in the halfway house through those earned credits. But many of the federal prisoners, they're not allowing to be qualified to accrue the earned credits, like if they have violent convictions or violent prior convictions or gun convictions or a whole bevy of offenses disqualifies the inmates for it. I'm here in a medium custody institution, and I would say maybe half, or well, probably less than half of the people here could get that benefit of the halfway house. So they really, under this bill, they've actually lost their ability to go to a halfway house.
Wow.
So a lot of them aren't happy about that. But it does make a bunch of smaller changes, like women in childbirth won't be handcuffed anymore, which I can't imagine why anybody would have handcuffed them in the first place. I mean, why would you? I just can't imagine that.
Yeah, what would they be afraid of? I mean,
are they afraid the woman's going to get up and run away? I mean,
exactly. That's crazy. Well, I have a special person here with me, and she's not physically with me, but she's in a place that I can connect us. And a woman by the name of Dee Dee Kirkwood?
What is the name?
A woman by the name of Dee Dee Kirkwood?
Oh, I certainly know Dee Dee, yes.
Well, hang on one second. I'm going to push a button, and she's going to be right here with us. Dee Dee, are you there?
Hello, this is the official marijuana fairy.
This call is from a federal prison.
That is great. Craig, I told you about my Lifer Museum, and I have a bunch of pot fairy stuff that I made. And I have your picture as one of the hang tags that I hang from the little pot fairy things. And it's like the size of a business card with a little hole at the top with a string. And it just has your picture, and it says, incarcerated since 2002 for conspiracy to possess and distribute marijuana. No marijuana was ever found in his possession, yet he was given a life sentence. So I have about 1,000 of these cards that go on everything that's pot fairy. And also because you were always saying to support and write the senators and representatives in this pot and the museum, Lifer Museum, there's a table with samples of writing to the senators, addresses, envelopes, pens, stamps, so they can do it right on the spot. And those are the suggestions that I always hear you give, is write your senators and representatives. So I just wanted to let you know that you are with a big army of supporters your way. Definitely. Yes. That's all.
Thank you. That does sound exciting.
Yeah, Dee Dee's.
You are the artist amongst the whole movement. There's no doubt about that.
Well, I think maybe creative. I don't know about artists, but everything I do is created because I don't know anything about law or any of the law words. So I'm just there in spirit, Craig. Completely with you in spirit.
Well, Craig, there's a dispensary up in Ojai, and the owner of the dispensary has graciously let Dee Dee use a pretty significant piece of real estate, and she's created almost like a museum dedicated to the pot lifers. And it is not only just educational in that people can learn about the people that we're supporting, but it also gives them an active way to support. And they make it easy for you. They've got everything you need to not only connect with the prisoners, but to also take action with your legislators at the same time, per your request.
Thank you. Hopefully you've received that sample letter to the legislator I sent off. I wasn't able to secure an email terminal long enough to type it out to you, so I typed it on a typewriter and mailed it to you, but I know the mail's a little slow now. Hopefully you've received it.
I have not received it yet. I did receive the Christmas card, but not that letter. I was hoping to get it on the email, but I'll look for it.
Thank you, because in there, as you know, my challenge is that I name all the many statutes that are for violent crimes that only carry up to 20 years in prison. Now, and the whole reason of the war on drugs was supposedly to do away with violent crimes. But instead, I'm here in the prison, and more than half the people are here on the drug sentences, which most of which, especially, I think we can all argue, the marijuana offenses don't have any victims. And yet there's very few violent offenders here.
Yeah, that's that. You know, when people hear about that, mostly the reaction I get is one of disbelief. People just they take a step back, and if they're actually listening, that's how I know they're listening, because they go, "What? Well, wait a minute. How can that be?" And yet it's happening, and it happens, and it's happening today, and it'll be happening tomorrow until we stop it.
This call is from a federal prison.
I can imagine Dee found the same reaction from people who say, life imprisonment for marijuana? Who did they kill? Who died?
Yeah.
Exactly. That's why we just have to ring that bell to draw attention any way we can, because it's unbelievable. And nobody believes it. Yes, you're right. Yeah.
Well,
I
Craig.
remember just this. Go ahead, Jeff.
No, I was just going to say, do you have anything that special you can request from our listeners, before Christmas that anybody can do to specifically, be helpful?
Well, hopefully you'll be able to get that, sample letter to the congressman. But my push, I have the newest bill from last night. We really don't know how that's going to turn out, because now the House is going to make some changes. It's going to go back and forth, over the next week. One suggestion I did hear today, and I wasn't able to grasp the name, but one of the House representatives says that they want to add the legalized marijuana bill to the criminal justice bill and pass them as a joint bill. So hopefully we can rouse up maybe some more interest for that.
Hey.
Maybe that's something your listeners might be able to send off to their congressman, that if we're talking about criminal justice, that might be a no-brainer to put in addition to it.
Well, that's a good idea, and that's part of what we're doing is we're brainstorming to get some very specific messaging that talks about what it is that we're trying to accomplish and how we seek to accomplish it. I put it out as as an elevator pitch. If you got an opportunity to give a 1-minute pitch to somebody that says, here's a problem, here's what we can do about it, and here's what you can do. That's what I'm trying to do, is make it easy to activate and have a tangible goal. We'll know when we accomplish our goal, because nobody will be locked up for pot anymore. It just won't happen.
Well, as I told you just a few weeks ago, I was in the doctor's office, and the new doctor came in, and the nurse said, "Oh, you need to meet this guy." Believe it or not, he's a first-time offender in prison for life, and the doctor just now mind you, this is a Bureau of Prisons doctor. And she looked and she goes, "Marijuana's legal now. How could you be here?"
Yeah. And yet you are.
Wow.
And yet you are.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. People just don't get it. They don't think it could happen. They think because a law was passed in one place or another that it means what they would want it to mean.
And why are the marijuana laws still on the books when there's so many people? I would say, if you added together the people that are in favor of legalization of marijuana, add that together with I would call them the agnostic people, the people that really don't care either way.
There's plenty of those.
It's probably 80 or 90% of people combined.
Yeah, at least. Probably closer to the 90%. But you know what? As I was saying before, throughout all of history, the major changes that have happened in all of society have happened because of one or two strong, committed people and a bunch of people willing to take action. And that's what's happened. It has never happened because a legislative body decided to pass a law. It's always happened because enough people have risen up and said, hey, this is what needs to change. And that's what I'm trying to incite. I'm trying to incite enough people that say, wait a minute, what the hell? You know, these governors, these people, these government officials account to us. We don't account to them.
I agree. Just like that congressman's suggestion today, why wouldn't we throw in the, get the funds out of marijuana bill in with the criminal justice reform bill?
I can't think of a reason.
That would gather some support.
Well, we're going to continue to advocate for those things. And there's your first beat. And as soon as I get that letter, I'm going to integrate it into a press release and a call to action. We're updating the website right now, making it easier for people to participate and giving recognition for people that do participate. So I'm working on a number of new channels, trying to drum up new interest and more unity. I'm always trying to cause there to be more unity out there. There's your second beat, Craig. It's all you.
Well, thank you. And that letter should be in your mailbox any day now. It was mailed towards the end of last week, and I know our mail isn't as fast as it needs to be, but it points out that virtually all non-murder offenses carry less time than marijuana. And I look around at all these people that, they went into banks and shot people, and they have 8, 9, 10 year sentence.
Well, Dee Dee, you're on live with me now, and you've spent a lot of time talking to a lot of prisoners, and every single time that happens, 15 minutes into the call, it cuts off, whether you finish your thought or not. How does that make you feel?
Right. Well, it makes me feel mad and sad and not able to close my eyes and pretend it's not reality. So all those emotions and pretty much all the time, because once you have that consciousness that there are brothers and sisters in for life for a miracle drug that I've been smoking for 50 years now, I can't sit still. I have to just work as hard as I can. So that's what it does. It brings me to action.
So you know what I need to figure out how to do is how to turn your motivation into an infectious creation, because you have that thing I'm trying to get other people to have. Mm-hmm. If I could just get it, and I mean that's part of what this show's all about. I have it too, but that's just you and me. We need thousands of us. We need millions of us, and then we can have anything we want. Dee Dee, can you imagine if enough of us just wanted the same thing strong enough? We could literally have anything we want.
Well, that would be, of course, wonderful, like this collective consciousness that we can do it. But I also, I love how you incorporate everybody. The projects I'm doing are all just made up by my own creativity, and then I connect with you to be part of the human solution. So I think that's an option too. People can just come up with their own stuff and then connect it for you. You know what I mean? Like my museum.
Well,
I'm connected with you
and
regarding this outreach that I'm doing. Yeah.
And that's something that I want to. That's part of what I was sort of trying to describe in the beginning of the show, is that when you do a project like this, it's, in my opinion, a really valuable thing, because you've created something from nothing that brings attention to a problem. It gives an opportunity for people to participate in a way that ameliorates the problem in some way. And it connects them to an organization like ours, that if somebody wants to even dig in and be a little militant and want to make some revolutionary change, it gives you an opportunity to do that. And I would like to feature your museum on our website as, as a project that, we certainly support and that, I feel in some way a part of. And I would definitely like to be able to include that. So if there's do you have do you have a write-up about this that we could, put up there that would bring attention to it and tell people where it's at and how they could participate?
Yes.
Fantastic. Why don't you send that to me,
absolutely.
and we can get that up on the website?
Okay. That would be wonderful. Wonderful. So there's something else I wanted to share. And how many years ago did you say, Dee Dee, you want to help free Michael Thompson?
Yes,
And
that was a few years back.
Seriously?
Yes.
And I have been completely on board ever since. And I just wanted to share that right now, that pardon letter that he was okayed, he asked me to file on his behalf. And he thinks because it was like coming from California, it was a little bit better than if it were within the state of Michigan where he is then. So anyway, now the letter got past the parole board, and it's actually with the governor on the governor's desk. And so I just...
Oh, that's fantastic.
So I'm just wanting to have a collective thought of positivity to help him cross this finish line, because it's been there quite a while, and the bad governor, who I have to say, I don't want to say anything bad, but he's the one with the Flint poisoned water in that governor.
Right.
Is completely responsible for signing one human being. And he leaves office on the 7th of January, so there's only a limited amount of days left, but it is still on his desk. So,
well, Matt, maybe this is the time that we can put it out there. We live in a world that has electricity and all kinds of things we can't see. And I firmly believe that we're all connected on some level. And so let's just take a moment. And Michael Thompson, if you don't know anything about him, he's been serving, 25, almost 30 years, 28 years.
Yeah.
Anyways, he was convicted of a small-time drug charge, a couple of pounds. He had some priors. They ended up finding some old guns in his girlfriend's house, or in some ways some guns that were not his, and it didn't matter. Anyways, they ended up railroading him, and he ended up getting a de facto life sentence. And if we don't do something about it, what is Michael, 60, 65, 64? 67.
Wow.
67 years old. He's been in prison for 28 years. He's a man that's amazing. I have spent 100 hours on the phone with him over the years. I haven't talked to him a lot recently, but I'm committed to helping him when he gets out. He's a promoter, and he has a project called Standing in the Defense Against Violence that is already put together, and it's a tour that's going to bring awareness and cause people to stand up against gang violence. He's doing that from behind the wall, and frankly, most people don't know anything about it. And so we were able to, Dee Dee, in no small part, actually did the lion's share of all of this, was able to get a letter, how many times he had this thing denied every year or every 18 months for many times. But he got this letter to Dee Dee, and she was able to craft it in such a way that it got past the parole board, and literally it's sitting on the governor's desk. So I just want everybody to picture, Michael Thompson. He's a tall, graying, strong black man who is an amazing person with a great spirit. And imagine that he's sitting there in his cell, and he gets a call, and the call is from the governor's office, letting him know that he finally got his pardon. And just imagine how that feels. That amazing, after all this time, and it finally happened. And just take a minute and just put it in your mind and just think on it just for a second. And I think if we put it out there well enough and loud enough, it could happen, and it's going to happen. So, you know what? That's what this is all about,
Thank you, Jim.
folks.
Yeah.
And Dee Dee, you know, I just respect you so much. All the work you've done on your own. Just,
Aw.
you know, you've done stuff that people only dream about. You've done stuff that people are afraid of.
But you know what? It's only recent, Joe. I was not this person a long time ago. I've only become this person.
Yeah,
So,
right,
and I
Dee
just
Dee.
turned 70, so I'm in a hurry. And before I never found my path, but through you and the Human Solution and Tom Corby and Patrice and my play, it just led me here. So I've arrived at my path. So it's just nice for a change to have such a passion about what my purpose has been. And I wanted just to say one more thing, Joe, about Chelsea and her collective where the Pot Lifer Museum is. She raised $1,000 from Mary's Medicinals, one of her people there. And so when Michael gets out, he will be able to get a coat and a cell phone and all of that. So that $1,000 is waiting, and that was from Chelsea, who did that on her own as a dispensary owner. That Chelsea is just, I just can't say enough about her.
Oh, that's fantastic.
Chesapeake Creek Collective.
That is absolutely fantastic. And you know, she was a guest on the show, I don't know, a couple of months back.
Yep.
And, you know, just really pleased that she's not like so many of those other so-called pot companies. And, you know, she's doing some good in the world. So that's, I couldn't be more supportive. And, you know, I'm just really pleased that this cream is starting to rise up to the top, and some people that have been willing to stay the course and just, you know, work with others and do things in such a way that helps the bigger picture. And, you know, we just need more of that.
Thank you, Joe, so much. And thank you for your support and your education and everything you've done to help mold me to be this person I am now. I just can't thank you enough for your friendship and everything you say and do.
Dee
It really
Dee,
means a lot to me, and I just respect you back at you.
I love you like a little sister. You're amazing, and I'm just so glad to have you part of the team.
Yeah, great.
All
Thank you, Joe.
All right, Dee Dee,
Thank
thank you so much. Again, Dee Dee Kirkwood and the Chesapeake Creek Collective up in Ojai. And Dee Dee's gonna be sending me a write-up about this project, and we will be publishing it in the website, and you'll be able to participate. It'll be an all-around good thing. All right, let's see what we got going on. We got Miggy from Washington. Miggy's a good friend, and I've been working with Miggy now for probably, I don't know, at least 5 years, maybe more. He helped us out when we were up at the Seattle Hemp Fest a few years back, and he's a writer and an activist, and you know, he's got a lot of common threads about the things that are wrong with the world, and he's not afraid to get out there and do something about it. So let's see what Miggy's got to say today. Welcome to the show, Miggy. How are you doing today?
Good, Joe. How you doing, man?
I am doing fantastic. I'm above ground, breathing, and currently out of custody.
It's always best.
It's the best way I know. So what's going on?
Damn right. Well, we got home grows coming up for next year.
Okay, and what does that mean?
We are the only legal state that one is not allowed to grow.
Well, that doesn't make sense.
So we're not allowed. Yeah.
You can have it,
would
but you
think
can't
that'd be
grow
part
it.
of the books. What's that?
I said you can have it, but you can't grow it.
Yeah, and to top it off too, you know, it kind of creates a pay-to-play system where if I can't have the experience of growing, how can I get involved in the industry?
Not very easily, I wouldn't imagine, unless you know how to do something that other people don't know how to do, and they give you theirs. I mean, doesn't seem like.
Technically, I should just be illegal.
Well, I would advocate that, but but yeah, it doesn't give you a whole lot of choices to participate. And unfortunately, all these laws that have been passed by the funding of people that have means that most of us don't, and they pass laws in such a way that are restrictive, so that only those that can afford it can play. Like you just said, the pay to play scenario. And California's got it, even though we can grow our 6 plants, but what if you need 7? You're still a criminal. Colorado, same thing. You can grow a handful of plants, but what if you need a handful and a half? But to even have you where you're not able to grow anything, that doesn't make any sense at all.
Yeah, there's no seeds, no clones. There's nothing available for the average consumer to have that experience.
Wow.
So right now we have 2 grassroots activists, Don Skacke and John Kingsbury, who they've been traveling the state, and they've been pushing they got a bill written up, and right now it's a House Bill 0075.5, but they're trying to get sponsors, because I don't know if you've, any of the listeners ever try to get a law passed. It's fucking horrendous.
Yeah, it's not the easiest thing to be done, that's for sure. Ballot initiative's the quickest way, but if you try to do it the old-fashioned way, you got to get a lot of people supporting you that don't necessarily support you.
Exactly. And here in Washington, first you have to get one bill passed through the Senate and another bill passed through the House of Representatives, and then those bills merge into one great bill that is good at the people. That's a pain in the ass to get politicians to all agree on supporting a fundamental right that we agree on, but it's very trepidatious for politics. It's still weed. I don't know if I should support that.
Yeah. Well, and that's the kind of crazy shit that happens when you start getting real about these things, and you start saying, hey, this is what I want. And you start hearing about how these people really feel. And, there's so many politicians that still have that old white paper feel that marijuana is a drug and drugs are bad. And it's really that simple. It's just like law enforcement for the most part. What happened to all the education that so many people have been getting? How did it bypass the people that influence our lives so damn much?
Yeah, well, if you saw, I don't know, the bill that Craig was talking about, I don't know if you saw, if you follow Tom Angel on Marijuana Moment, but he talked about one of the GOPs who pushed on how the governor for Colorado, who's a Republican, was voicing how it needs to change federally. And right before him, though, the governor, Grassley, denounced him, said, I know my fellow politician is about to speak, and I say nay to everything he's about to say.
Wow. Ignorance. Wow, that's crazy.
Yeah. So that's kind of, I think, money talks, unfortunately, and that's why in Washington it's a bigger deal, because it's only 2 guys that are the powerhouse behind it, and to get politics and to get things passed, it takes money. Gas money, flyers, ads, just different shit to get people on board.
Well, I mean, a lot of it too is just grassroots, educating people. The problem is, and this is something that I don't know, we've never talked about, but it seems that the people that know about the right thing to do don't seem to do it. And the people that do things don't seem to know the right thing to do. And just like, I don't know, it seems like there's it seems like there's a Reese's peanut butter cup about that should happen. We need to put those 2 together. And that's why I was talking about, what if we were to get our message right and get enough people with that message that said, look, I got a one-on-one with an elected official. I got a minute to give him my point of view in such a way that makes sense. What would you say to him?
Sure. I mean, it's a powerful, you got 30 seconds to speak, and the elevator pitch, like you said, to get the most the stronger the message across. Just like when you write for a prisoner or write for a defendant, you're just trying to convey to the heartstrings.
So what is your elevator pitch? I'm the most powerful man in the world. You and I are standing in an elevator. You know, I noticed your ribbon. Hey, what's that on your shirt? What do you say to me?
My biggest, I would talk about how the war on pot is actually a war on people, and it's one of the, it's a hindrance in America. You know, it hasn't been the people it's supposed to protect isn't hurting, you know, the citizens. And, you know, we have the schedule wrong. We have, you know, there's so many wrong place laws based off of non-science that, you know, it's almost like in 1930s, there's this imaginary scare, and there's nothing factual that supports the law. You know, I'm working on an article right now talking about how it's easier to incarcerate somebody than it is to free them. You know.
Oh yeah, a lot easier. It's a lot easier to lock them up than to get them out.
Yeah, I mean, why is that? Recently, we have. Are you familiar with WHO and the World Health Organization and the UN? Recently, they didn't come to a conclusion on their suggestion for the scheduling of cannabis.
That's pathetic.
I believe it's political. Yeah, it's just pathetic.
That is pathetic because those people are not governing bodies. So those are the people that we would expect to be open-minded, objective, and maybe with the human being, the human condition's best interest in mind. You would kind of think that, but maybe not.
Exactly. And at the same time, we also have that lawsuit going on that was just seen last week in New York with Alexis Bortel.
Mm-hmm.
The little girl, the 9-year-old girl that's sick.
Right.
Yeah, so that lawsuit got seen federally last week, which is still a big deal because if they come to the conclusion that she's allowed to travel to defend her case, because part of it is she can't use her medicine while she's traveling back and forth from her state. So if they pass a ruling that they say she's allowed to medicate, that's even a huge thing towards cannabis patients. But
sure.
We know how fast this works and how well it does, being that we even had 8 federal fucking patients, and yet the government seems to forget that.
Yeah, I know. And there's still a couple of them still alive. So, I mean, you know, that's the thing. Yeah. There's all this reality that is sitting in front of us in the world we live in, and the people that influence our reality, they're not connected to it. And I think that we need to get together and pool our resources and clarify our message and start honing it in and beaming it straight into their worlds with a unified message, a clear message, and one that has an action that can be taken to get what we want. And that's what I'm trying to make happen. So I'm certainly open to anything you write that'll further that. I'd love to share that with the audience, on our website if you're up for it.
Yeah, totally. I'll share it with you. Plus, anything you guys have. I mean, like I didn't hear about the gentleman,
Michael Thompson. Yeah, we've written about him over the last 5 years numerous times, but not for a little while. We haven't had a new article about him for probably 8 or 9 months at least. So. But for a couple of years there, we were campaigning really hard for him. We were working with a dear friend of his, and it all came, from an individual that reached out to Tom Corby, and then Tom reached out to me, Claudia Perkins, and I connected with Michael, and then got Dee Dee involved, and Dee Dee's the one playing anchor right now. She's holding the rope. So, but I strongly believe, he had a cousin or an uncle or a nephew who was he was a state senator. And, I talked to him, Sheldon Neely, and we've done everything in the background that we could do to help get this letter to the governor's desk to be signed off. And, fortunately, a lot of times governors will do the last 2 hours of their office. They'll get more done than they did the last 2 years. So hopefully this will be another one of those situations where he gets it signed off. But there's definitely a lot of information that over the years we've posted.
Oh yeah, I know. Like with the solution, one of the things I believe that you guys are, what's a great force behind it, is when you rally behind somebody or someone's in trouble or who's been in trouble.
Absolutely.
That force of attention totally makes them squirm. Craig Cecil said it several times. I mean, how many times has he faced fucking repercussions behind bars?
I know. Crazy.
Unfortunately. Okay. Yeah. It's just, unfortunately, there's so many of these guys, men and women. These people are just been persecuted that, you can't just focus a month or a year, and maybe even do a daily thing, unfortunately, like today's prisoner of the day, which be, it would rally more people behind that message for that person, I would think.
Yeah, that's part of what we're trying to do right now is we're bringing people together. We're calling it the A-team, people that are willing to get out there and really take a serious action. And we're meeting behind closed doors and we're coming up with some serious plans. The website is getting updated on a regular basis. Becca's been working real hard, adding content, and we're making some day-by-day changes that are going to make it easier for people to participate, to walk into that website and go, oh, wow, I know very clearly what these people are here to do. And, oh, look at that. Here's what I can do to help. That's what we're doing is we're making it a lot more interactive and easier for people to participate on any level.
Right on. Also, one more thing in Washington news just before I take off, but I found this out today. Just how you were talking about how we seem divided, the left hand and the right hand. They just met in the middle.
Did you notice?
Got this shit together. we can actually do something. But like here in Washington, and I've seen it too in Michigan, where they put law enforcement in charge of the program, which is the last person you should put in charge of a fucking agricultural product. But here in Washington, we got this thing coming up. It's on a sneaky level too. House Bill 1029. But just to give you an idea of the shadiness of the politicians in our world, this bill coming in for legislation, I believe, this year. So the bill represents itself as protection money for the governor when they travel. What? But when you go to the bill, on line 30, they're trying to dedicate another $2.8 million to a fucking marijuana state appropriation committee.
Yeah, because we need more of that.
How do you fucking do a... Right, but it's in the guise of a governor's traveling bill. Like, how the fuck does that work out?
Yeah, it works for the governor. That's how it works out. Again, it wouldn't piss me off one little bit if the next election cycle, every single sitting politician was removed and the two good ones would go out with the 1,000 bad ones and we'd start all over again. I think our odds for better representation would be 10-1 over keeping any of the incumbents in office.
I totally agree.
But again, people don't like change. It's not a human nature thing. People are afraid of change. They say they want it. Look at Obama's platform, hope and change. And yet, when it really comes down to change is scary as hell. And people don't like to change because they don't know what is in front of them. And the fears that they've been planted by the government, by the big businesses, by the opposition to our freedom. And that's as simple as that. It is not even about pot. It's about freedom. And, anybody who says otherwise, please come aboard and tell me how. And yet,
I totally agree.
It's the government's interest to protect the government, because when the people have too much power, they take it back from the government. And that's, most people aren't into that if you have power, most people that have power want to keep it and even gain more. So that's what we're up against. We're up against human nature and the forces of money and power and greed. And it's it's going to take a few strong ones and a lot of willing ones to make this happen. And I'm just, trying to get one more every day. Give me one more. That'll get me 365 a year.
I hear you, man.
All right, brother. Well, I absolutely appreciate you being out there. I've always considered you a brother in arms. And like I said, anything you post, anything you write, we got a blog part of our website that we've been slowly using more and more. But I absolutely appreciate it if you could publish some content.
Will do. I'll send it back once I finish this one article coming up.
Fantastic. All right. Thanks again, Maggie from Washington. Yay. Appreciate you being here.
Have a good one, brother.
You do the same. All right. So let's see. We got 45 minutes of show left, and we got a bunch of people left to talk. We got Creed Leffler. We're going to bring him up next because he's in a hurry. We got Dolores Halbin. She's got a lot of good things to talk about. I can't wait to talk to my friend Dolores. Glenn Keeling. Glenn and Peggy have a current case in the midst of the case fighting for their own freedom. They're running a chapter and helping everybody else out. And then Pete Yapel, the amazing Pete Yapel. I take me 10 minutes to tell all the good things he's doing. So we're just going to mention his name at this point. And hopefully we'll have Tom Corby and George Martorano join us a little bit later. And anybody knows how to get a hold of Tom. Donna's listening. Maybe that's Tom in disguise. That happens from time to time. Anyways, all right. Well, we're going to bring up Creed first. Creed has been an advocate and a guest to the show many, many times. And he's working on a petition to cause the federal government to deschedule cannabis. Creed, how's it going today? It's been a little while.
Hey, Creed.
Hi, Cup of Joe with Joe. I know I haven't been on in a couple of weeks, but I really need your help with a current project I'm working on. I'm trying to get featured on a YouTube channel called SBSK, and it currently has over 1 million subscribers. It is a YouTube channel that films and highlights people with disabilities that are living happy and fulfilling lives along with their caregivers. They show that having a disability is not necessarily a bad thing. This would help create major growth in my petition. To help me get featured, you would send a letter explaining a little bit about me to sbskmanagement@gmail.com. That's S as in Samuel, B as in boy, S as in Samuel, K as in kitchen, management @gmail.com, and why you think I should be featured on the channel. Please indicate that the message is for Alyssa in the subject line. I know some of you that listen to the show don't know that much about me, but please try and do your best. I thank anyone that takes part in this in advance. I was also wondering, since you're updating the website now, can you put a link to my petition on your website, as well as a link to a video called, quote, The New Unveil of the Canavan? We currently have 7,177 signatures right now. I also have an elevator pitch. Your child is about to die without cannabis, but with cannabis, he or she would live. What would you do? Let your child die or give him or her the cannabis? You always need to use something that would pull on their heartstrings, such as a child or a dog, even if they don't have a child or dog. Have a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year.
Oh, thank you very much, Creed. Well, here's what I'm going to do for you. I'm going to do one better. So I believe Lisa sent you maybe a T-shirt and a ribbon, but at least a ribbon. So if you can take a picture of you wearing our ribbon, I will and submit that picture with a pitch. What you want us to do in the text of it, I will put up a page for you on the website.
Yay.
With all of those things you asked and then some.
Yay,
what do you say about that? I will do that as soon as I get it.
Well, the thing is, we're doing this campaign for SCSK like this week.
I will encourage everybody to participate in that campaign. But if you can get me that picture and write up what you just told me, I can also publish it on the website, including a link to your petition. I'm offering both of those things to you. Of course, we're going to encourage everybody to follow the direction that you just gave, but not everybody that follows this has a chance to listen to the show. So the website is a resource that people rely on, and it will give one more place for people to see that, is all I'm saying.
You gotta wear a ribbon.
Okay.
What do you say?
Please, thank you, Bill, and good, wonderful job. Please don't break it.
Are you saying the instructions for the email?
I'm saying yes. If you can type up what you
Okay.
just told me, as well as send me a picture wearing our ribbon, and also, anything he wants, I'm offering that he can have a profile picture. A profile page on our website with a call to action. I'm willing to give that to him.
All right, and thank you. And the email, just one more time, is sbskmanagement@gmail.com.
Excellent.
I
Excellent.
typed it.
All right, Creed. Well, we'll get as much as we can typed up, and I'll make sure I send an email. I'll be glad to do that for you, and I'm hoping everybody else that listening will do the same.
Bye, Creed.
All right. Thank you very much, Creed. We'll talk to you soon.
Bye.
Bye.
All right, Creed Leffler, folks.
Yay.
Oh, good. We do have Tom Corby. He has joined the ship here. All right. Let's see. Let's go to Glenn Keeling. I'm hoping to hear some good news about their case, as I always do. Glenn and Peggy have been fighting a case now for a year, and Peggy's in poor health, and the toll fighting a case takes is indescribable. When I talk to people that have never been affected by law enforcement with cannabis, I get what it's like to have never been arrested, because I remember what that was like, and I had no idea what it's like to have your freedom forcibly taken from you, and to not be able to physically do anything about it, to be confined against your will, is an excruciating thing. It's a humiliating thing. It's an oppressive thing. It's a repressive thing. It's almost impossible to describe what it does to a free spirit. But what it does to a good free spirit is it pisses us off. It makes us want to do something about it. And Glenn and Peggy happen to be two of those good folks. So let's see what they got to say. Glenn, welcome to the show. How are you doing?
Good evening, Joe. Thank you. Thank you very much for having me on.
Always a pleasure.
Well, after over a year, our case started October 31st of 2017. And we are no farther now than we were the very first day that we went to court. I can't say that. We have come a few ways. We're charged with possession of cannabis. We're charged with endangering our child and manufacturing and all. Telling us we're a criminal, and the courts have allowed us to use exactly what they're charging us with possession of. We are in the state of Ohio. Peggy and I are both now on the patient network registry. And we're still being charged, which is crazy. But, we're supporting a few cases that are going on here in Ohio right now, that are facing cannabis charges. And we
we know that there's more out there and there's a lot more going on here in Ohio, but we really can't help you guys unless, you know, you got to get it out there and reach out and ask for help. I mean, we ask for help, and man, we've got a huge, you know, supportive help for us, and we're grateful for everybody that's helping and supporting us. We just want to be there and help and support you guys. Wherever you may be, just reach out to us. We're the Creative Care Beacon here in Ohio, the Human Solution International chapter of Ohio.
Yay.
You know, Joe, it's legalization. Man, that's the hell of a word.
Boo.
Of course, we
Boo.
talk about it every week. It's we got to get past legalization, you know, because we see it every day, you know, what legalization does and does not do for people. We got to just stand together and fight, you know, for one another and be there for each other.
I couldn't agree more. And, you know, we're doing it one by one. Every week goes by, I feel that our organization's getting stronger. More people understand the difference between legalization and freedom. And the two have nothing to do with each other, frankly. And more people are stepping up and in a meaningful way saying, yeah, I want to help. What can I do? And in contrast to how things have been in years past, when you give them a task and say, well, if you do this, it might help, people are starting to do it. So, you know, I think we're gaining on it. We have a long way to go, but if we continue to gain on it and it starts doubling and doubling again, and we get this plan that can be replicated, I think we're going to do this. I think we're going to do this in fairly short work.
Right on, yeah. Supporting each other, Joe. That's the huge thing. Supporting and educating are key things to making this prohibition thing turn around. Is definitely not legalization, because we all know that brings shit tons of problems with it. But support and education is going to beat this. That's the big things.
I couldn't agree with you more. Well, Glenn, if somebody needs to get a hold of you and they're in the Ohio area and they either want to help you support your case, start, you know, help you with your chapter, or if they need your help, how would they get a hold of you?
Oh, that's real easy to do. You can find me on Facebook. It's Glenn Keeling. Or you can call. My phone number is real easy, 419-863-0498. Or you can reach out to the Creative Care Beacon, the Ohio chapter of the Human Solution International.
Well, that's fantastic. And, you know, here's one thing I'm trying to work on right now is we got a lot of chapters. Some chapters are forming. We're building the website calendar, and I want every chapter to schedule a meeting. So even if you've only got a few members, it doesn't matter. If you have a meeting to get to, it's a destination. It's a way that people can participate. So hopefully when I talk to you next, we'll have a meeting scheduled, and that we can get some new blood coming aboard.
Right on. Absolutely, Joe. Yeah, we'll work on something localized for everybody. But yeah, absolutely.
Perfect. All right, Glenn, always a pleasure. Glenn and his wife, Peggy, Creative Care Beacon out of Ohio. Thank you very much.
And they're tagged on the feed, the live feed.
All right, let's see. We got Pete Yapel and we got Dolores. I'll talk to my friend Dolores here.
Yay,
And then we'll bring up Pete and then Tom Corby, and I probably won't have much left to do after that. If not, there's always plenty to talk about. What's your elevator pitch, folks? I forgot to ask Glenn. I totally dropped the ball. I'm going to have to leave now. No, I'm just kidding.
That's it.
I'm good.
Yeah, we're out.
But that's my question. My question to you and everybody else. Call in and let me know. Pick up the phone, dial 646-929-2495. What is your elevator pitch? What's your point that would help to make the difference? What's your end goal? What's the problem? What's your solution? Tell me how to make the difference. Dolores Halbin. Welcome to the show, my friend Dolores. How you doing?
Hey, Joe. I'm okay. How about you?
I am above ground, breathing, and
Great
currently
show so
out of
far.
custody.
Yay.
Absolutely. Well, I'm going to start, in case we forget, with my elevator pitch.
All right.
And here's my elevator pitch. We got somewhere upwards of 100,000 unopened rape kits in this country. A 13-year-old girl just was raped and murdered by a guy who was in one of those rape kits that had sat on a shelf for years while he continued to murder and rape as yet an unknown. This was a serial rapist.
Whoa.
It costs $154,000 to put a rapist on trial. It costs $34,000 to prosecute someone for marijuana. So if you only have X budget, what are you going to prosecute? The $154,000 rape case that has absolutely no return on it, and you're going to have to go after an actual bad guy, and there's going to have to be people crying on the stand and a lot of forensic evidence and a lot of work, let's face it, versus putting Glenn and Peggy on trial, putting Gene and I on trial, and putting what I hope will be our prisoner of the day, Dana and Sue Bland, on trial. I am absolutely livid. It's time that the Me Too movement meet the How Come movement.
Yay,
That how come we've
I like
got
that.
unlimited funds and helicopters and task force for marijuana, but we don't have one single solitary government budget anywhere for rape. Not on a federal level, not on a state level, not on a city or county level. There is no budget for rape, but there is $1 billion budget for the drug war. So up yours. That's my elevator pitch.
I like it. And you know what?
Anyway.
That's what I'm trying to do, is bring these salient points to the surface so that when people are approached, I have people all the time. It took a while. You know, I've been wearing this ribbon for almost 10 years now. And when people first started asking me about it, you know, I start thinking, and you know me, I'm not a man of few words. So I'd get yapping away, and, you know, I'd either have them in love with me or asleep within, 10 minutes of trying to get a point out. Well, neither one of those is what I was looking for. I just wanted to teach them about this. And I think having these, often we get a small window of opportunity to have somebody actually paying attention to us. And if we can drive those points home, that's a beautiful point. Where is the California Rape Task Force? Where is it? Where's the Orange County Rape Task Force? Where's the federal Rape Task Force?
Where's the federal dollars? Where's the federal reimbursement dollars? There's every state that wants it can have a federal state drug task force, like the guys that busted us that drive the big black SUVs.
Right.
And the guys that busted Glenn and Peggy. They can all, and those guys get all the weapons. They've got slush funds. There ain't a damn task force for rape in the country. I've researched this. For me, I think it's like somehow getting the message to the New York Times. I think that those of us that are in a leadership position in the community and that can write need to start writing editorials. We do an awfully lot of preaching to the choir, but we have got to get our message into the New York Times. We've got to get it into Huffington Post. We've got to start writing some good editorials. There will never be anything united. The minute, Amendment 2 got passed and medical got passed in Missouri, I can't even get the veterans I know to to make a phone call for the Blands or write a letter for the Blands. Everybody's making money. We're getting our dispensaries opened, and oh yeah, that's right. Those poor people that got busted. Oh yeah. Well, if I can get to it today, but it's so frustrating. We still got 50 guys in life. I have no idea what happened in D.C. with prison reform this week.
Not
I
enough.
haven't heard a word about Rand Paul's bill. There was another senator that, and I heard another Democratic senator said, well, we made some progress, but it's a convoluted mess. So
Yeah.
I guess we'll have to just wait and see what comes out in the wash.
Well, Dolores,
Hey.
I want to ask you to do a gigantic favor that I think is going to help if you can do it. What you just said, if you could write me a paragraph that lays out what you said, I'd like to publish it on our website. As I'm telling you, our website's becoming more of a resource. And I think that as we're doing that, once it gets published, it can get shared. It can get forwarded. It can be read easier. I'm going to do the same. I'm going to be writing my elevator pitch, and let's put this stuff together in a way that people can.
Well,
so if you send
we
me,
have got to tie the female rage. We have got to tie that to prohibition, and when I and here's the thing. Joe, this happens to a lot of us. I'm sure, Peter, if you're listening, this has happened to you. But you go to research something, and you find out something else when you think that you can't be shocked, or, and another veil unfolds, and you're just like, you've got to be fucking kidding me. Who does this kind of shit? You know? And
you're right.
When I looked at the numbers and realized that the reason those rape kits weren't getting opened was because rape trials are expensive. And here's my personal experience with this. So I'll make this short. But I've been on this since I was 20 years old. My brother was murdered in 1975 on August the 12th. He was beaten to death in front of witnesses, his friends. He was running a youth center in the inner city, and a woman came in with her kid that played there all the time, and her boyfriend followed her in drunk and started to beat her up, and he got in the middle, and he was beaten to death. So the next day, 11 hours later, that man is out of jail. And, I still remember the old yellow phone in the living room and it ringing at 2 o'clock in the afternoon. And my mom and I are both on it. And the prosecutor says, Mrs. Montgomery, I'm sorry, but we just don't have a case against this man. And there were 6 witnesses. Well, yes, but they were all his friends. They're going to be deemed unreliable witnesses. And honestly, murder cases are expensive.
Whoa.
Murder cases are expensive.
Whoa.
He spent 11 hours in jail. I spent a week. Gene spent a week and killed him. I don't know how long Peggy and Glenn went to jail.
Well, I was locked up for a couple of months.
In jail. They set their bond at $30,000 apiece, and she's mentally handicapped. So what I need, please, is we need to go after these prosecutors. We need to get the 3 put on one page together. Amy's, Glenn's, and who else is Michelle Button? Has she buttoned up her case?
Yeah. Her case got buttoned up not too long ago. But there's still more cases. We got a few cases that are still.
Well, right now, let's do Prisoner of the Day, and let's go after Amy Box. Amy Box has refused to do a single interview with the newspaper here since she was elected in 2014. She just got reelected. She's got nothing to lose. She won't call anybody back. So what I need people to do is to call and leave all this information with her secretary. That way her secretary has to write it all down.
Yeah.
I need people to call from across the country, and I need veterans to call. This guy is an Iraqi vet. He's got Iraqi, whatever that crap is that they brought back from the first round. He's got that. He's got it bad. And you were talking about how physically hard this is on people. My husband didn't live through it. This guy won't live through it. His wife's probably got an IQ of 180. Everything that got left out got replaced by sweetness. She's sweet Sue, the sweetest thing you'll ever, but she's not competent to stand trial. And to put him in jail on a $30,000 bond and charge him with tampering with evidence and Class C felonies too, each. We've got, what they're doing is now legal here. So as of December 6th, what they were doing is now legal here. Not technically, because you're supposed to get it from a dispensary, but it's still bullshit. The least they could do is drop it to misdemeanor possession and give them time served and let them walk away, and that won't hurt them. They can expunge all that later. But their evidentiary hearing is December 27th. That is the day Amy Box is going to decide if she really wants to take this to trial. And between now and December 27th, we have to make her really not want to take this to trial. We have to let her know that this poor couple that's being raked over the coals in the little town of Cassville, Missouri, that people in California, the people in New York, the people in Colorado, the people in Washington, I need Tracy to call in. I need everybody to call this woman this week, and we should do the same thing with Peggy and Glenn's prosecutor, and just call them and cry. And they really hate it when you cry, and they have to listen to you. So if we can just do that and adopt the Blands and the Killings for this week and make those calls, let's make those calls. Let's start working on these prosecuting attorneys. If they refuse to prosecute, these drug task force won't get any money.
I couldn't agree more.
They won't get their footing.
Well, let's revisit all of the information we have about this. Make it easy for everybody, and let's get it posted and post it again.
And again, and with Peter being in New York, Peter, we need you to get your New York people to call, because I want this lady to get calls from as many states this week as we can get it from, so she knows that the national spotlight is going to be on Cassville, Missouri on December 27th. And with any luck, we can do this every time there's one of these bullshit patient cases that come up. If we can let them know the week ahead of time that the national spotlight is on them, they're much more likely to just drop it and let us all go home.
No, it's totally true.
Wow, these people are sick.
It's totally true. And you know what? These people don't want the spotlight cast on them. They get away with what they can get away with. Mm-hmm. And when they start seeing the light coming at them, they're just like rats and cockroaches. They scurry away. They don't want any bit of it. So, we can be that spotlight.
No. We've got to be that spotlight for this couple. They're an absolute nervous wreck.
Well, tell them they got my support. I'll make that call tomorrow.
Well, yeah, and I wanted to, Peggy, if you're listening, thank you so much for reaching out and talking to Sue. I just simply don't have time, but she has said that you have been wonderful to her. So Dana and Sue Bland, they're on Facebook just under Dana Bland, but you can get them both there. If you haven't friend requested them, please do. Give these people as much moral support as you can. Say your prayers for them. It's Christmas. We need Peggy and Glenn, and we need Dana and Sue to be able to celebrate Christmas without this bullshit over their heads. So I'm praying for a Christmas miracle. I'm trusting you guys to make those phone calls and to get one or two other people to make a phone call. And let's jam their lines and tell their secretaries and fill up their voicemails.
I couldn't agree more. Yep. Well, we'll do it. You have my my commitment here with the headquarters chapter of the Human Solution International.
Yep.
Always do. And if I am ever needed on any of these other cases, like you guys call me, I'm an RN again.
Yay!
My license back. and I am more than qualified to do court support. So if anybody needs a professional witness, I do it for anybody. Too many people did it for me. So, and as this thing goes on, Joe, I'm in your corner to do whatever.
I know you are.
I don't know what the hell to do.
Oh, well, the first thing to do is
fish on the sea. We save them one at a time. And right now, we got to save the Blands and the Keelings.
Well, you give me something to write up about, and we're gonna be publishing a lot of new content on the website, on the calendar. If there's a date that is important for anything to happen, give us the information. Yeah. We'll put it up on the calendar for everybody.
Okay, who should I give that to? You, Lisa?
Just give it to me. Give it to me for now, and then we'll figure it out after that.
Okay, that sounds good.
Beautiful.
Well, Merry Christmas,
Merry
everybody.
Christmas.
If I don't talk to you before, and make those phone calls, and I'll keep everyone posted on Joe's page and the solutions page about how this thing goes down. With any luck, they'll drop it all before Christmas.
That would be the best
really
answer. Excellent. Well, thank you so much, Dolores. We love you, and looking forward to sharing some time together one day soon.
One day soon. We shall be free one day. You know what this is missing, Joe?
What's that?
That we had in the 70s that we don't have now is music.
Well,
in the 70s, we had every band out there was a revolutionary band, and we got nothing.
You know what, Dolores? Several years ago, I put together a protest song contest, and I got a couple of submissions. I ended up launching a publishing company with an inmate at the time, a federal inmate, and it turned into a fiasco and never got a single protest song. That's not true. There was a couple of songs got created and published in some of the old archive shows here, but they never got actually, into the mainstream. You're right.
It wasn't like Vietnam.
No, nothing Vietnam. Even like
the
it.
Civil War, it's killing people, but
it's we have a lot of people looking at their phones is what we have.
Yeah, we do. Well, listen, I'll let the next guy talk.
All right, thanks, Dolores.
And we'll get these guys out of trouble.
I look forward to it. Talk soon. All right, Dolores Halbin, folks.
All right, bye-bye, honey.
Bye, Dolores.
All right, let's see. We got Pete Yapel and then Tom Corby, and it looks like that'll close out the show just in time. Pete Yapel, welcome to the show. I don't even think you need an introduction anymore.
Oh, gosh, please.
Hey.
I am busy as shit, man. I am sorry. I have just been so crazy busy. I wanted to say, though, definitely Helen and I have been keeping close eye on what Peggy on the story Dolores is talking about anyway. So I'm already on that. But did you guys hear? I don't remember if I told you guys in the meeting the other day that we now have an official office for Solidarity Over Separation in Highland Falls, New York. It's an actual building. You can walk in, and Joe has a desk there when he comes.
Yay!
Finally, after 10 years, I got a desk.
Yay!
In New York.
In New York, even.
I love it.
Figure out what the name is.
Yeah. Yeah, Helen, everybody calls Helen the Silver Fox around here anymore, so she's got her Silver Fox and nameplate, and
I love it. I love it.
Some other ones that would. Nobody has a real. McFly. It's Chris. And Chris Birdsell, he's been a great partner so far here. He really has. I mean, he's selling them ices, and he makes those ices. He created them.
Got it.
And he actually has franchises that he sells that are the Happy Shack, it's called.
Nice.
So that's his line. He makes cannolis, ice cream, and whatever else. And
Yummy.
again, every time we sell a great purple Yapel liter, we get $1 and donate it to us.
I love it.
And it's great stuff too. I mean, his products are real high quality. We've got been so busy though. We've got a 2,000 square foot office. We got about a 2,000 square foot storefront next door to it that we're opening, And then we have a 4,000-foot school private club beneath the whole thing.
Wow.
A private club for VIPs and such. Let's just put it that way.
Looks like I got to make a trip back out to New York.
Yeah, brother, you know that.
You're bringing Liz this time.
Yeah,
I'm
I'll bring the lovely
coming,
one with me
sister.
this time.
Liz is coming. She's right there. She's coming with him.
I love it.
But we've been working hard. We opened January 1st. So it's been you guys all know what it's like to open a new place, and especially three at one time. Three actual buildings at one time, or three actual entities, I should say, at one time is a difficult task. But we're plugging along. We're helping people every day. I made a phone call today to Andrew Cuomo's office to set up an appointment. Go speak with him.
Excellent.
It's time. It's time me and him had a conversation. But my elevator pitch, Julie, to anyone, if anybody is in that position, it's just why not? I don't have to tell you why. You tell me why not.
Yeah,
I have every reason to debunk everything that you say, so why not? You tell me why. And if you can give me a good explanation why without me being able to debunk you, then you maybe should admit you're wrong this whole time.
Yep.
I like it. And that's what, we've opened up this discussion, and, we got some really great initial salvos, and we're going to start publishing these things. And I think it's gonna cause people to think about that. And when we get these opportunities to talk to a reporter, to talk to any person of influence, we direct our conversation to something maybe more important than whatever the latest sports thing is, or the latest Hollywood thing is, or the latest scandal is. Why not get to something really important quickly? So.
Yeah, listen, it's the same thing. Listen, but here's a simple trick. I taught one of my salespeople here. I never say hello, hi, how you doing? Say, how you feeling? You don't have to say hi. Say, everybody greets somebody every day. When you stick your hand out or whatever, just say, how you feeling? And they'll volunteer that answer. They just feel it's just a common thing.
I like it.
If you hear what's wrong with them and the things that they are going, then you have a please. I mean, that's when your mouth runs. You tell them, well, then here, I got something that can help you. Blah, 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 blah. Once they're feeling better, people don't understand. When you see someone who has spent their whole life listening and trusting someone with a white coat with a finger hanging around their neck that sits in front of a computer nowadays, and you keep going back to them, and you keep going back to them. And I went back this time. They never fix you. They never get come close to fixing you. They don't make you feel better. They don't even make you feel better. When people realize and catch how cannabinoid therapy helps them, how they feel, like, again, you don't feel something, you feel better. I always wait for people to take something and they go, I don't feel nothing. You're used to taking things and feeling things. You're not supposed to feel something but good. But once they get that, I mean, it's eye-opening. It's changing. It changes the way they think. It changes the way they act. It changes their whole concept to the plan. Unfortunately, there are, 12 of us probably in the country that scream at the platform like it's more 12 of us. But, I'm using that as an exaggeratory term way because there really are truly only 12 of us on a daily basis that stand up and scream and yell and talk to everyone, whether it be a political figure or just the guy next door. And we need more of that. Again, like John Joe said, activism means to be active, and you have to, there's an activity involved. And it's not sitting on the couch and playing on Facebook. If you all are so enamored by Facebook, understand this that I just watched on the news today. Many companies have been sold the rights to Facebook, your Facebook private stuff. Like all your information. Well, did you know that they found out accidentally that 6 companies now have your instant messages, your private messages? They can read. They can read your private messages. It was done accidentally, but they've had this for the last 6 months.
Yeah, accidentally. Right.
Yeah, well, I mean,
What do you think on almighty Facebook? I mean, you know, it has become every day there's something more and more on the news about Facebook. And it scares me that site. Because you don't know what you're doing. You don't know who you're dealing with half the time. And if you're talking to somebody that you do know, they can be reading that too. So please, everybody, make sure you're being very careful in your Facebook communications. Even when you think you're being private, you're not.
I couldn't agree more. Well, Pete and Helen, if anybody's in the New York area and wants to get involved, wants to be part of the Solidarity Over Separation chapter of the Human Solution, how would they get a hold of you?
They can look us up, Solidarity Over Separation, the Human Solution International New York chapter on Facebook. They can call us at 845-522-3162. And after January 1st, if you have any human rights issue, we support the plant, but we are, again, a civil rights and human rights organization. You can come to 316 Main Street, Highlands Falls, New York. Office building.
I can't wait. All right, you guys, we got 5 minutes left of the show.
Helen. Love you.
Send you pictures,
I love it. Well, we love you guys, and it's been an honor to work with you this year, and I'm looking forward to great things for next year.
Whoop, whoop.
We're only going to get better, though. Listen, it took us 5 years to meet in person,
Well, here we are, 5 years later.
Yeah, we're gonna. And don't forget, next year, guys. Next year, especially guys. No, Lisa's sitting there with you. I saw her on camera and everything else. I'm booking that trip. We're getting married on a cruise on October 20th.
We'll be there.
Incorporate that date.
We
About
will.
time.
You know I want my family there.
We-
You guys are my family. I love every one of you. Every one of you. Have a Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
And
Merry Christmas, Liz. I love you.
I love you. Woo, wedding. Yay.
I love it. We'll be there for sure.
Congratulations.
All right, you guys. We'll talk soon. We'll talk tomorrow.
always great talking to you guys. Always great. Always
Merry
great.
Christmas
And
to all of you.
yeah, Helen's real excited about this Christmas thing. I just can't wait to go see my grandson.
All right. We'll talk to you guys tomorrow.
I'll be happy.
All right, folks. We got a couple of minutes left, and we got Tom Corby to wrap it up. And I'm going to leave you in Lisa's hands for a couple of minutes. I'll be right back.
Yeah.
Hey, Tom, welcome to the show.
Go ahead, Tom. I'm listening. Go ahead, Tom. We're here.
Am I on?
Yep, you're on. It's your time. You got the microphone. Tell us what's going on up in your neck of the woods, Tom.
Hey, so I want to thank y'all. It's always a Coffee Party Radio support. Harry, Becca, Lisa, all the great speakers they coming together defining prohibition and free our sacred cannabis plant. Talk every week. How important it is when we come to the finish. How we make sure to get the discovery. Make sure to come and always Bravo Cloud. I dismiss motion and take him on into a speedy trial. Joe taught me this a long time ago. That more people would take them all the way to trial, we wouldn't be here today. They couldn't do it.
Right.
When we talk about Dana Bill's case, all the cases they've done, this is probably the most confusing case, and I'm still confused. He came on, I don't know if you saw it on Facebook, on my website, and told me to be there. Told me, okay, that this is going to be resolved. Well, I'm on with Tabitha Farms, big advocate, Young and Ready, and up in Reading. Thank them for coming.
Right.
And it was supposed to be at 1:30 today. Now that's overnight. And I'm thinking I'm still recovering. But Nick and I planned on actually this morning up there at 1:30. And then it comes on after that. It's pretty strange that now it's at 9 a.m. Well, that's really short and early. And now he's saying, no, it's not a preliminary hearing, it's sentencing. The first question you gotta have, Joe, is, and Tabby asks, is how can you
90
if you don't win the trial? And pass, you made a plea deal, which we didn't know.
Oh, you're talking about Dana
So,
Beal.
Yes.
Yeah, Dana called me up the other day and he said he took a plea deal and he was supposed to come on the show today. What was his sentence end up being?
Well, and okay, so I'm going to give him this. First of all, we all know that on Prop 15 transportation doesn't apply. So that's a tough road to hoe. Secondly, David Young, along with him right here, you might be listening, pointed out that David is actually from New York City. So this is really grueling for him to try to even get here. So sometimes that we just resolve our case, and all he did is get unsupervised probation, community service, and pays a small fine. Kind of like an infraction, Joe, which is a pretty good deal.
Well, that's what he was saying. He was pretty confident. His biggest question was he going to be able to
10 seconds.
participate in this ibogaine thing that he was working on? Did that end up affecting him or not?
How's that? Ibogaine. Oh, and then when he came here, and I have his notes, if you remember back, he was actually at Dennis Crone before Dennis passed, R.I.P. And Dennis told him to get a hold of me. He called me, and he came with Rachel Barrett Martin, who's actually a paralegal. And here's another confusing thing. Jay Statzer was actually the defendant. He was driving. Dana Beal was actually the co-defendant. So it gets kind of confusing. So when you see my notes here, you can see all of the case I'm working in. Get to discover probable cause, taken to a speedy trial. I said, well, by the time I looked at this case, I said, Dana, I said, this guy's case is really, really weak here on probable cause and entrapment when I go on and explain more about this case. So this ibogaine, and I agree that if they fighting for this from the African rainforest on his notes here is helping people getting off opiates. So he's really into that too. So that kind of comes into his case too. He was in Weaverville, transporting 82 pounds with Jay to Hayford when they got pulled over on a very known highway. So in the first place, I'm going to read here, Dana and Jay driving down Highway 3, which is a known traffic highway in the first place. A little bit of question here. From Weaverville to Camp Hayford, when they were pulled over, I got to turn the page here. I haven't got these out for a few months, and I get caught up with them. They noticed two CVs parked on the side of the road. One pulled out and followed them. Not very far. Pulled him over and said he was weaving. Well, yeah. That's pretty weak. And stating that Highway 3 being a known traffic highway, searched without a consent. Confiscated their 22 pounds, hauled them off to jail for 4 days. Both got out of bond, paying 70% each. Because they had and then I also told them, I said, you got a really good attorney. it looks like he's doing what he's already filed for your discovery. He's going with the 995 probable cause motion. So I pretty much gave him my certification to never go to trial. If you just keep taking him on to trial, which we always have, they'll never get there. But in this case, due to the fact that case is involving this in New York, I can understand him taking his resolvement too. Sometimes you just do that, and it's a real easy one to clean up. And after, it's always important after, if you do resolve your case, even like Donna now, once you do that and pay your fine, probation, you want to file for your dismissal. Don't want to hear expungement. You want the case to get it off your record. So all that's really important today, and we were glad. We were actually looking forward to going to, as we thought that was a freedom today. But even if we do, I got away from the radio and extract me back here. Even if we knew, we still might not have gone. So, Nick, well, I'd like to say something about the case. We're still looking at each other, kind of baffled over this case. It's really been, and all these cases are different. You never know when you come for a defendant. The one thing to do is always come and advocate and just come for support, even a few court supporters mean a lot, and get them on the right track. And that's what we do. We call for defendants, prisoners, and that's what the human, I like to say the humane human solution is all about. And we call for others, and they come for us. Thank you all today, and don't forget to breathe.
All right. Thanks, Tom. Have a Merry Christmas, and look forward to seeing you guys soon. All right, so we got one last guest that popped in at the last second. We got Scott and Nikki, and they are with the Central California Rock and Fire chapter of the Human Solution. Scott and Nikki, how you guys doing?
Pretty good, Joe. How you doing?
Good.
Doing fantastic.
So we called with, he's wanting to give you his elevator pitch.
All right, let's hear it. Let's hear it.
Yeah, I guess I'd put him on the spot and tell him if he thought it was fair that a man doing life in prison has to sit and watch a murderer, rapist, and violent crime offenders get out of prison. Just put him on the spot, and no one in their right mind is going to say yes. Right?
I wouldn't think so. Not if they had a soul.
And then we just ask him what he's going to do about it.
Yeah, and then he's going to exactly.
Just ask him what he's going to do about it,
or if he can help us do something about it.
There you go. I like it. Turn it around on them and have them come up with what they think. Well, I think that
right.
This is,
and make sure that I have somebody there recording it. That way, he's kind of put on blast. Like I said, no congressman or governor in his right mind is going to say yes. Come on.
And once you pull out a heartstring, and then you just turn it around and ask them what they're going to do about it. How are they going to help?
Or will they help us do something about it?
Right.
I couldn't agree more.
That's our strategy.
I like it.
I don't know. You've been rocking my head with that question, and I said, "Well, I got an answer for it."
I love it. Well, we've gotten 4 or 5 answers today, and and good ones. Everybody's answers were good today, and I like that. People are putting some thought into this, and just remember everything that you see around you, everything, every man-made wonder, everything that has ever been created, the archetypal documents that have been written, every work of literature, every poem, every song, everything that was ever created by man started as a thought. So if we start thinking, that's where all of this begins. And we can take our mind and we can think about what we want to have happen, and then it starts to happen. It's just how it works, folks. Well, thank you guys. It's been a pleasure.
Hey, Joe, one more thing. You know what? I would actually tell him, does he think any marijuana offense is worth that? You know what I mean?
I
Any
agree.
marijuana, not just the guy doing life, just any marijuana. I mean, there's no comparisons.
I couldn't agree more. Hey, listen, you guys have a brand new chapter that's just launched. And if somebody's in the Central California area wants to be part of making history, finishing the job, ending prohibition, or just supporting somebody who's been victimized by the drug war, how would they get a hold of you?
They can go to the website, thsintl.org, or call us at 559-356-0358. Yeah,
That's a good place to start.
Get a hold of us. We're here.
If you want to join, people listening, if they want to join, call us.
Excellent. Rock and fire. All right.
Love you guys.
Love you
Merry
guys.
Christmas.
Look forward to talking.
Lisa, thank you, Lisa. We love you.
That was Liz too. Nikki.
Liz and Lisa, we
I'm
got
in
a
the background. I'm
we're
always
both
in
here.
the background.
pair of L's here.
I'm shy. I'm a kind of shy person.
Yeah, right.
Hey, give us a
But get me out there to court support, and I'm a
That's right. She's a house fire.
yeah.
Human solution for life, folks. All right. We'll talk to you guys soon. Have a very, very Merry Christmas. And I'll probably talk to you before that. Scott and Nikki, Central California, Rock and Fire chapter. And I want to thank everybody for being a part of this. I want you all to have a very Merry Christmas, solstice, whatever it is you celebrate this time of year. Help us end prohibition, would you? We got people suffering, and people will continue to suffer until we end it. All right. We'll talk to y'all next week.
Toodaloo.
Hi, I'm Willie Nelson, and the Willie Nelson Teapot Party and I endorse the Human Solution, supporting cannabis prisoners because no one should go to jail for a plant.
The things I should have said and done, you were always on my mind. Always on my mind.
Thank you for using Blog Talk Radio. Goodbye.
Why?